and welcome to another episode edition Inside Scoop for Tudor. I hardly know her. Inside
Scoop because we're a magazine.
I mean, what is there really to scoop?
Henry VIII's disgusting body as it melted after he died.
Well, I was gonna say that's more the job for the groom of the stool.
Groom of the stool. Oh, gross. Can you imagine if Henry caught a bug and he? Let's just not. Let's not go there. How you guys doing?
Hi, guys.
Hey. It's been a while.
It's been precisely 24 hours. We are finally getting down to the great Other Boleyn Girl extravaganza.
Yes.
We finally had a group gathering, watching for the first time in months. Garrett was actually with us in person.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always fun to record an episode in person with you guys.
It was fun.
Yeah, we finally got around to watching The Other Boleyn Girl. The Eric Bana, Natalie Portman, Scarlett Johansson one.
Yeah, the guys did not watch the one on BBC. I did. And
I don't think I could have handled it.
Look, let me tell you, a little bit better, but the weirdest part of the BBC version is the very strange decision to have Anne and Mary talking to the camera like confessionals from a reality show.
Were they doing it like a Real World or Road Rule style like confessionals, or were they doing it like House of Cards?
A little bit more like House of Cards, honestly.
Okay.
It was very strange.
I just married Henry for the power.
I think we would have liked it more if it was more like they're like in some little confessional room where they have like the little title card under you, like
it was weird.
Anne Boleyn, human disaster.
It was really weird, and just like the Eric Bana one.
But on an aside, could you imagine Henry on one of those like early 2000s dating shows like Next or Eliminate or?
No, he would have been
Singled out.
He would have been on one of those ones like a Shot at Love, a Swing at Love. All right, wait. What would Henry VIII?
Rocket Love.
What?
Rock of Love.
He would have had a. What would Henry VIII's reality show have been called? His reality dating.
It would have been something Rose related.
Wow, that's so appropriate.
Yes.
He just calls it Tudor. I hardly know her.
Yeah.
He's getting to know her.
Bastard.
That is very appropriate, guys.
We're
need to turn
already a Tudor dating show.
You guys, we need to turn our podcast into a dating app for our listeners, or as my coworker calls everybody Tudor files. So
you swipe. Okay, so you swipe right in our Tudor app if you want to, have somebody give you an error, and you swipe left if you want to behead them.
I love it. And then their picture gets cut in half right at the neck. This is happening. One of you guys learn how to create an app and then create an app.
I mean, like they're already making like dating site stuff like super like focused.
What's the best dating? Okay, wait, we're getting really distracted.
Hey, Other Boleyn Girl. We watched it.
I mean,
and yeah,
I think I would have rather watched A Rock of Love with Henry VIII than. Okay, so let's do a recap of the movie. Guys, this is a spoiler episode, except that movie came out like 20 years ago.
Spoiler alert. And doesn't have a good ending.
Actually, it was more like 10 years ago, but still.
I was say, was there it's like
things don't end well.
I was say for anything that's like a historical movie, unless you really just don't know history, I feel like giving spoilers like spoiler Titanic sinks at the end.
Right. That's why my coworker watched Versailles, and she's like, I want to talk to you about it, but you haven't watched it yet. And I'm like, but I know the history. You're not going to spoil anything. I know what's going to happen. By the way, everybody will appreciate this today. She came up to me and she goes, Emily, there's this show I watched, and I don't know. Have you ever seen it? It's called like Rain. And I just started laughing. I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. Sort of. I hate it. And she goes, oh, good, because it was awful. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, good, because it's crap.
So like a quick recap synopsis of the movie.
I want you guys to give it.
So it starts with...
Do you want me to just read the Wikipedia entry and we can interject here and there?
Sure.
I know it starts out with the Boleyns as kids.
Yep.
The Boleyn siblings all like playing in a field.
Yeah, that was a shot, and it's one of those Pink Floyd The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon things where the beginning is also the end, and the end is also the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? You guys know, if you've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about.
All right. I feel like as you recap, I should also interject with where it differs from the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can start right then and there. In the book, it starts in the spring of 1521, and Mary is with her brother. So Mary's the main character. She's the Other Boleyn Girl. And she's with her husband, William Carey, her brother George, and her father, Thomas Boleyn. And they're at the execution of her uncle, except it's not really her uncle. So either way, they're at an execution and the guy dies, and at the end of that intro, she goes, "I don't understand. I thought the king was going to forgive him and not execute him." And so, I mean, totally sets up the characters. The book does a lot better job of setting up the characters than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like one of those things, like, it's hard to try to set up some people in a movie without getting too like on the nose of them saying. A lot of times in movies, bad ways of setting up characters is people just flat out just say like some side person is like, "Oh yes, you met the king. He's kind of an asshole." It's like, well, yeah,
he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, it's like it's not very subtle. It's like it's a tough thing to do in film. His book, you can write down like a paragraph.
That's true. He's kind of a codpiece.
Yeah.
Now in the book, is it like from Mary's like perspective, or is it an omniscient narrator?
No, it's first person perspective from Mary.
Okay.
So you get a lot of like her take on things. You get a lot of her take on things. The relationship between her and Anne is much more fraught than the movie. So, Garrett, you go ahead and continue with your synopsis.
Okay, so let's start from the top of the plot. I'm straight up reading this from Wikipedia. No shame.
No shame.
King Henry VIII's marriage to Catherine of Aragon is troubled, as she has not produced a living male heir to the throne, having only one surviving child, Mary. Mary Boleyn, no relation to the previous Mary, marries William Carey, played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Is this a Dr. Seuss quote?
Mary, no relation to the previous Mary, is married to Mary Carey.
But quite contrary to the other Mary.
Okay, wait. I would like to point out that they had Mary Boleyn they had Mary Tudor, Henry's daughter, in the beginning of The Other Boleyn Girl, but she never came back.
She makes like one appearance in the whole movie.
Spoiler alert, that happens to a lot of characters in that movie.
Yeah, there's like no Wolsey, no Cromwell. No.
Or they show up for a scene and then they fuck right off.
Or they're supposed to show up and then they don't even fuck right on.
Speaking of, William Carey, played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Let's talk about those cheekbones.
Oh, God.
He did a good job. This movie is rife with people.
I'm first going to start this out with my favorite is that like the two main actresses, neither of which are British, but then this is filled with all these other like well-known British actors and actresses.
Eddie Redmayne, Benedict Cumberbatch, Mark Rylance. He's British, right?
Yes. Even the guy who...
The governor.
The guy who played their uncle. He's British.
Norfolk, yeah, he's British. He played the governor in Walking Dead. So if we call him the governor, hope you know we're talking about Norfolk. Yeah, every British actor that was around in 2008 is in this movie, except the three main ones. And Eric Bana, I'll forgive. He kind of gets away with the accent, but God,
yeah, because he's Australian. I just looked up right now.
They're close enough.
Yeah, he's Australian, but it's like
Scarlett Johansson and Natalie Portman's British accents are just atrocious.
It's like after this movie, somebody said, "Hey, Scarlett, you did a really good job," and then she got in her head. She's like, "I can play any role I want."
Yeah. So the casting was just not not good casting, honestly. I don't mind any of the actors as actors, just they were terrible in this.
It's kind of those things like as a still image, fine. But once they start talking, it's like, and especially when it's characters are clearly not American.
I don't know.
It's tough.
I could have been okay with Natalie Portman as a still image, or Eric. No, I'm not okay with Eric Bana as a still image. That I am very forgiving of actors not looking exactly like their counterparts, but I feel like it was a real stretch to put Eric Bana as Henry VIII and then like not even have him get fat or
now. And I'm going to ask some questions also about the BBC one since you watched it.
Yeah.
Was the actor who played Henry a redhead in that?
I believe he was. Let me double check. Okay, but I do want to talk about Scarlett Johansson because is it just me or is it crazy? So in the book, she's supposed to be like this demure, innocent girl who didn't really know how to seduce the king and oh, sorry. Jared Harris played Henry VIII in The Other Boleyn Girl, the BBC one. So, no, he was not redheaded, but he did a good job as, like, a gross old man. Anyway, back to Scarlett Johansson. She's supposed to be, like, this demure, innocent child. And they cast Scarlett Johansson, who's, like, a sex icon. I feel like
she is now, but...
Even then,
I think they kind of like really did her down. Like there were some scenes that's like she looks like some other demure actress. I have it in my head. I can't think of it, but she looked very like dressed down and like not like, oh my God, this is the most gorgeous woman in the world. But like,
I don't know. I
think they downplayed her beauty a bit in this one. Like they made her very plain looking in this one.
Yeah.
I just feel like you can't make Scarlett Johansson look plain.
It's hard to watch this now with, it's Black Widow. Or for me, like I think of that Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie, John, where she's like overly sexy in that one. And like, that's how she is now known as. But I think back then, I have to look it up. Of what she had done prior to this movie, because like Natalie Portman, people knew her prior to like as Star Wars. Like she had just finished doing like the first 2 Star Wars movies, and she had done some young stuff. Like she was in Leon the Professional as a kid.
Oh, she's been in quite a few things.
Yeah.
Before. So one of the big ones, 8-Legged Freaks.
Scarlett Johansson was in that.
Apparently.
Clearly the classic one here.
She was in Ghost World, which was a big movie at the time, or a lot of people.
Wasn't she a teenager in some?
She was
the girl with the pearl earring.
What was the one with Chris Evans? Never Been Kissed or something like that. No. There's one she is with like her and Chris Evans did a movie like that was always joke. It was like before they did any of the Marvel stuff. I don't know if that was before or after this one.
Other actors that were in this movie that kind of surprised me. Alfie Allen, who played Theon in Game of Thrones.
Yes. And apparently Andrew Garfield, that we never actually saw.
Andrew Garfield was supposed to be in this movie. I found a picture online a while ago of him in the movie, and yet the scene never happened.
Yeah, you're like, was it just deleted, but they forgot to take him out the credits, like a last-minute deletion?
But they also they also had an actor cast for Charles Brandon, and he never appeared.
Well, sometimes you don't know, like, because we're jumping around a lot, but there's the scene at the end when Anne is getting her verdict from the council, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like at one point, like you see people like you think you're clearly has to be Woolsey in the background. They probably like it's not a major actor.
No, not Woolsey. That wasn't that scene. That was a different scene.
Well, there was a scene where Woolsey was supposed to be in the background essentially, but it's like they don't address him.
Okay, anyway, sorry. We went off on a tangent about the casting, but Garrett, where were you? You left it.
So
Mary, not the Mary, contrary Boleyn.
So we were at the marriage of Mary Boleyn and William Carey.
Okay.
After the festivities, Thomas Howard, Duke of Norfolk, and his brother-in-law Thomas Boleyn plan to install Boleyn's eldest daughter, Anne Boleyn, as the king's mistress, with the hope that Anne will bear him a son and that she'll be able to improve their family's wealth and status. Anne's mother, Lady Elizabeth Boleyn, is disgusted by the plot, but Anne eventually agrees as a way to please her father and uncle.
Okay, I fucking loved Elizabeth Boleyn in this movie because she was But she's also a very loving mother. In the book, she was very much a mother of her time, very much like my job is to produce children and to give them what they need to succeed so that our family can do better. They're not meant to be coddled or anything. So in the book, she's like in the first scene in the book, Mary talks to her mom and she goes, I don't understand. I thought he'd be forgiven. And her mom's like, then you're a fool. Like, she's like, no, you're fucking dumb, kid. So I loved her in this movie. That is the one thing I actually really enjoyed was how the mom was just like, nah, I'm fucking done with all of you.
I like how she did call out her husband or her brother, or she didn't like, oh, you guys. She wasn't like loud or like super big on it, but she was like, hey, you're an asshole. You know that, right?
I loved it when she slapped her husband.
Yeah.
That was satisfying.
She wasn't like going in like, I'll save you, daughters.
Yep. So I've got the book in front of me. I can't quite remember if that's the book, guys, is like 650 pages.
Christ.
So it's a long book. And the movie's 2 hours and God, Henry's
we know that while
disgusting.
watching, we're like, this movie just jumps really quickly in like timelines.
But oh my God, yeah,
that's
it's
the
hard
most jarring thing about this film. The fact that I talked about this with some friends earlier today, where when they do like a time skip from like, oh, she just got pregnant, oh, now she's like 5 months pregnant. It's like that. It's like a cut from one scene to the next. There's no like fade out or like a few months later or anything like that. Not that that's always needed, but that was every scene transition.
Every single one. So they went through.
It was just boom, 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 boom.
Like it was the most jarring one of that was when in one scene the Boleyns are sitting around a table and Anne suggests that Henry break with Rome and everybody's appalled. And then in the next scene, Henry's like, well, I broke with Rome. Like, why won't you bang me? And it just happened instantly. And it's like, you don't need to say, you don't need to go through the whole trial. The whole movie is not about Henry's break with Rome. But Anne was a huge factor in that. And even in the book, Mary was involved. So it's like they were, 7/8 through the movie and they're like, oh fuck, we're running out of film. It's like they were filming on traditional film and they had a very finite amount. They're like, all right, we got a lot to get through, just speed it up. So it was very strange, but that was super jarring in the movie. It also kind of happened in that same thing happened in the BBC version. So as you so you know, it's something that afflicts the movies. The book less so. I'm trying to find the part in the book. Where that happens, but like there's a couple hundred pages of Anne being queen in the book, so it's just weird.
Yeah, that was another thing. I was like, I felt like she wasn't queen very long actually within the movie itself.
No.
And even then, it's like the amount of time it happened between things like, oh, you're on trial, or like you're like arrested, you're on trial, and you're beheaded within like 2 days.
Right.
Well, I feel like the whole point of this book is like to show this like sibling rivalry and drama between the two girls. So in the first act, we like establish like what's like the status quo and like, so we've got Mary being, or spoiler alert, getting with Henry and having a baby with him, and like, hey, things are gonna work out. The second act comes, Anne comes back, she's scheming like a motherfucker, fucks up everything with Mary and Henry, and then in the third act, she takes over the spot that Mary should have had, but then everything goes bad for her, and her downfall is like the entire third act.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like they just do it so quickly, and the book does talk about their relationship as siblings. Like it's very much all about how they fight a lot and they love each other and they hate each other. Like I get it. And the book does a good job of that. And in the movie, it's just not there. Like, they're instantly best friends in the beginning. And, sometimes you fake it, but they didn't seem like they were faking it. Or if they were faking it, they were doing it too well because I couldn't tell that they were faking it. But, the Other Boleyn Girls book focuses on their relationship and how Mary is like, I'm done with you. I'm not going to do anything more for you. And then, Anne calls her and is like, I need your help. Please come help me. And Mary's like, okay, I'll be right there. Like, it's this weird, there's like this family loyalty that I think every person has, where it's like you can call your sister a bitch, you can call your brother a dick, but the second somebody else does it, right, they're going to get their head ripped off.
Well, what's weird is how they Anne is so turned on Mary within 2 seconds because the king just wanted her Mary more, and the next scene she's like, you bitch, you're a horrible person, I hate you forever now, and after that it's yep, she kind of treats her like she's awful human the rest of the movie.
Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Okay,
let's get back to the synopsis.
Yes, please.
While visiting the Boleyn estate, Henry is injured in a hunting accident that was indirectly caused by Anne, where she jumps a ravine on a horse, and Henry tries to follow suit and falls down a ravine.
Yes, I did like that scene because it kind of captures that Henry has a big ego and he's not going to take a challenge lightly, and he's going to do what he can, and then if he can't get his way, he's going to have a fit. So
right, and Anne has that rebellious, wild girl side, She likes to keep up with the boys.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually thought they were gonna speed up when he was gonna have his big fall.
Yeah, no.
But that was not the case.
Oh no, they didn't even have that fall.
They don't bring it up at all.
Urged by her scheming uncle, Mary nurses Henry. So yeah, that's how Mary gets into Henry's area. God, that fucking uncle. Henry becomes smitten with Mary, invites her to court, to which Mary and her husband reluctantly agree, aware that the king has invited her because he desires her.
Wait.
Mary and Anne become ladies-in-waiting to Queen Catherine, and Henry sends William Carey abroad on an assignment.
And then he's never fucking mentioned again. They don't even bother to say, and then he died. She gets...
Well, he shows up one more time after, Henry... it's after the first time Mary and Henry have sex together, or the several times, because they did it a bunch that night. Woo! And she's being grilled by her dad and uncle. He's like, so how many times did he come? And fucking William Carey's just standing there fuck, this sucks.
This is so awkward. Can I just go now? So then Henry VIII is like, hey, boo, how about I send your husband abroad and you're all mine? And she's like, okay, that works. And
yeah, I thought that she'd be more loyal to her husband, but she just
in the book she was much. I mean, she loved Henry. So that's another thing in the book is they really capture her turmoil. This book assumes that Mary was at the behest of her family to seduce the king. And of course, we never really know if she went after him on her own or if her family put her, whatever. But in the book, she only did it because her family told her to. And her husband is a little bit, angry about it, of course. But she still is like, well, I still kind of love you. And
but it made it seem like he was the ultimate factor in deciding on them going to court for Henry. Because he was being given a position in the privy.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of a thing. If I bang your wife,
it was when they were telling Mary, they go to his face, and he's got this absolute look of shame on his face.
Yeah. I mean,
he was the one that made the final decision.
He's a cuckold.
Because he was her husband, and it just that set everything off.
Well, I just get really annoyed later that in the movie they talk about him going abroad, and then he's literally never mentioned again. And then later on in the movie, I'm jumping ahead, I know, but later on in the movie, she falls in love with somebody else after Henry's with Anne, and then she marries him, and they don't even mention that she'd been a widower or a widow. All you had to do was you could have had a throwaway line oh, my husband died, this sucks, oh well.
Maybe they were counting on the audiences just forgetting, because they sure did.
Maybe, except they had him play so much of an important role in the beginning. Like, he was kind of all over the beginning, and then all of a sudden Eddie Redmayne is. So, okay, back to the synopsis.
So, separated from her husband, Mary begins an affair with the king and finds herself falling in love with him. Anne secretly marries the nobleman Henry Percy, although he is already betrothed to Lady Mary Talbot. Excuse me. Anne confides in her brother, George Boleyn, about the marriage. Overjoyed, George proceeds to tell Mary. Oh, yeah, let's get into George here.
I was so excited to talk about George. Oh my God, he's such a fucking goof in the movie. He's just...
It's like, hey, Mary, guess what Anne's doing? Oh, shit.
Oh, Mary, guess what? This weird thing is happening. I like this accent we're giving George.
It's a little Harry Carey.
It is a little Harry.
Hey, Mary! You want to believe what Anne's doing?
I just, he's... God, I can't even describe his character. Like, George Boleyn is known as a womanizer, and he's very suave, one of the king's buddies, because he's so much fun, and he's smart and well-read, and very passionate. But then in the movie,
he's just like, they made him out to be a happy-go-lucky, like, teenage boy who's always eager to, like, please his sisters in more ways than one. Hint, hint.
That was so weird. Like, he's
we'll
just
get there.
so goofy.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna talk.
Yeah, he's Jim Sturgis, man. What a role.
Yeah, but I feel like he had like a oh gee golly quality a little bit.
Did.
No?
He did. I like that phrase of gee golly quality.
Well, like there's one scene where he's just like laying
he belongs
in the bed
fucking
next to his
Mayberry.
sister.
Yeah, they really laid on the incest thick.
Back to the synopsis. Fearing Anne will ruin the Boleyn family by marrying such a prominent earl without the king's consent, Mary alerts her father and uncle. They confront Anne, forcibly annul the marriage, and exile her to France.
You know, that was also that was a weird choice, because Mary in the beginning was like, I don't care about the family. I want to be with my husband.
I just want to marry for someone for love. And now she's pissed at her sister for marrying someone for love.
And then she's all like, we have to put the family first. We'd be ruined.
Yeah, so now that we mentioned that,
the king needs his Malaire.
Halfway through the movie, when we watched it yesterday, I was like, man, I sympathize with Mary, because Anne is just being a total jerk right now. Like, she's just shitting all over Mary. But
yeah,
then we come back to this part, and I'm like, oh yeah, Mary kind of fucked up Anne's chances at being happy and married.
Now, I would like to point out that maybe Anne loved Henry Percy, but also he was a duke, so she also went in for her own personal gain. But still, Mary done fucked up. And, I mean, I guess they did a good job with establishing that both women kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
so
that
good job.
pretty quickly.
Back to the synopsis, Gare.
Okay. Mary eventually becomes pregnant with Henry's child. Yay!
That actually in the book she gets so real life Mary Boleyn got pregnant while she was with Henry VIII, and so that child, which was a girl, was very likely Henry's bastard. She also got pregnant with another child, but nobody knows if that second child, which was a boy, was Henry VIII's or her husband's.
It's like more people were hoping it was going to be it was Henry's, because he really wanted the boy badly.
I don't know. There's a lot to debate about that, because so maybe he recognized Henry Fitzroy as his bastard because Bessie Blount wasn't married at the time. So obviously he had to recognize her. Mary Boleyn was married, so he didn't have to recognize those children. So maybe that's why he wouldn't have. But anyway, in the movie, she just has a son.
Yeah, she has the one pregnancy, the one kid, and Henry is immediately like,
Literally.
I don't care.
Doesn't even look at the fucking kid.
Like, all I've wanted in my life is just this male heir, and
I'm a lair.
And it's there, and now I just don't care.
God, this is the best Dr. Seuss book ever. That was a great fucking scene.
Yeah, because, like, he's, like, talking to, like, before the kid's even actually officially born and announced, like, what sex it is, he's
let Garrett get to this scene. I think his next sentence is going to be what we're talking about.
No, I think we're still on that miscarriage, right?
No.
Wait,
she has a scare.
No.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary has, like, she finds blood, but everything's okay. So because of that,
Anne has the miscarriage.
She's, like, forced to the bed for the entire time. And while her sister's stuck to the bed, that's when Anne comes back from France.
Yeah.
So Mary eventually becomes pregnant with Henry's child. Her family receives new grants and estates. Their debts are paid, and Henry arranges George's marriage to Jane Parker.
When did they say her debts
Juno
were
Temple,
paid?
You would not let me forget.
Whatever. Jane.
We watched the movie, and Emily kept saying, "Oh, it's Juno Temple." I said, "Who's Juno Temple?" She said, "Yeah, her." I said, "Okay, but who's Juno Temple?" She's Juno Temple.
Yeah, I didn't really help with that. I don't know why I know Juno Temple so well when I haven't actually seen very much of Juno Temple.
Apparently, you're the president of her fucking fan club.
Oh, I know her from Atonement.
Which one's that?
It's the one with James McAvoy and Keira Knightley. It's like like World War I, II?
She was also in Horns, a movie called Afternoon Delight, so we need to watch that shit. Oh, she was in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh.
She was a character named Jen. Literally, that's it.
But yeah, so I guess then George Boleyn is then supposed to be like he's to marry her.
So
yes.
arranges George's marriage to Jane Parker.
He's
when Mary nearly suffers a miscarriage, she's confined to bed until her child is born. And how early was that in her pregnancy?
I don't know. They weren't even showing, so.
I mean, I don't know if the book would have.
It was hard to tell what the timeline of this movie was.
Yeah,
yeah. She's confined to bed until her child is born. Norfolk recalls Anne to England and is tasked to keep Henry's attention from wandering to another rival while Mary is confined. Believing that Mary had her exiled to increase her own status. Sorry, what?
He doesn't want he doesn't want the king to start eyeing the Seymours.
That milk-faced girl. Do you guys remember when she complimented her sister and called her a milk and honey sister? That's cute. Back to Garrett.
Okay.
Sorry, I got distracted by a turtle.
Place. Believing that Mary had her exiled to increase her own status, Anne gets back at her by successfully winning Henry over, which was like, it was a little gross.
Yeah.
It was almost like a horror movie or a thriller movie where like one character's like wooing over the husband, and it's like, oh no, she's using every trick in the book.
Yeah,
Did anybody else get that read?
No, it was really Anne was very I mean, she's supposed to be conniving, but
they like laid it on thick.
God. Yeah.
Like she was like this woman who's apparently had like she spent her entire time in France is like making her master plan of how she was gonna woo Henry.
Woo.
Like she just did her like overly researched him. She like read all the books she could about him. She learned and she like it's like watching like a heist movie where like we have this perfect little plan set up of like we're gonna like predict what his next move is gonna be, then I can do this. Like the whole like every time he sent her a gift, she'd send it away.
No, send it back. And then poor Theon had to actually send it back, and Henry blew up. And like I just
there's the one poor guy who kept having to give the bad news, the doctor guy.
Oh my God, I forgot about the doctor.
It's like every time you saw the guy, you're like, oh shit,
he's the MVP
bad.
of the movie.
That guy had the worst fucking job. He had to tell Henry that Catherine had a miscarriage. Then he had to tell Henry, like, he was just delivering all kinds of bad news. Okay, Anne Boleyn seduces Henry. Keep going.
When Mary gives birth to a son, Henry Carey, Thomas and Norfolk are overjoyed. But the celebration, am I saying that right, Norfolk?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. are overjoyed, but the celebration is short-lived as Anne tells Henry that the baby is born a bastard and that, for her to accept his advances, he must stop talking to Mary. This infuriates Norfolk, as the king refuses to acknowledge the child as his heir. Henry then has Mary sent to the countryside at Anne's request. Shortly after, Mary is widowed.
They don't even...
And we did not know.
They did not show that shit.
Unless they mentioned it, or did we miss it? Do they say it in dialogue?
Fuck. We're going to have to go back and watch it, aren't we?
Please
I'll
no.
go check. I feel like I need to go check. No, but they didn't even show her living in the country. For
like a quick bit, like closer to the end of the movie when Anne was already queen, I believe.
Maybe there's deleted scenes. Maybe
I did remember
stuff left on the cutting room floor.
A shot of her like at this like countryside home thing.
Just sitting in the meadow, saying,
it wasn't here. They didn't show very much of her there.
Yeah, it's like, it's supposed to be the Other Boleyn Girl, all about Mary. Why couldn't they have shown Mary receiving news of her sister some other way instead of just being at the court focusing on... This movie almost didn't know what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's go back to this. This whole scheme with Henry banging Mary in order to produce an heir.
Yeah.
If they were going to acknowledge that baby as a bastard anyway, then what was the point?
Of what?
Of Henry and Mary banging?
It wasn't about him naming the bastard as his heir. It was about having a son by the king. Your family was set up to be like dukes and shit. I don't think they really expected Henry to put his bastard child on the throne. In real life, anyway. I don't know about the movie. This movie's characters have weird-ass motives.
Funny thing is, I mean, to us, we know eventually he gets divorced from or annulled from Catherine.
Yeah.
But it's like the movie makes it sound like, oh, yeah, he can just simply divorce his wife. It's easy.
Right.
Like, they're all making it sound like he could easily just, like, he's with a dried-up old bag wife.
She's a husk.
Like, yeah, she's just a dry husk now, and he needs something to give him an heir. So clearly he's going to leave her and get
casual history
remarried.
fans are like don't really know about this. Like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. But we do this podcast. We're a little more informed, so we know it's much more than that.
Yeah, it's just
so the casual moviegoer who isn't like a huge Tudorphile is gonna be like, oh yeah, she's used goods. Maybe
I do get that. I just feel like if they'd put a little bit more work into the movie, they could have fixed a lot of these issues with very tiny things. I feel like the person who made this movie really was just like, I really like these dresses. Let's do a movie about this time period.
Yeah.
Because the costumes were fucking gorgeous.
There's always points where you can like forgive some inaccuracies, but other times it's like it becomes too much.
It's almost lazy.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway.
So Mary's widowed. Anne encourages Henry to break from the Catholic Church when the Pope refuses to annul his marriage to Queen Catherine. Henry succumbs to Anne's demands and falls right into her plans in her hands. Henry succumbs to Anne's demands, declares himself supreme head of the Church of England, and gets Colonel Thomas Wolsey to annul the marriage. So that was Wolsey that we saw in that one scene.
Yeah, it was. I pointed it out.
It was the scene with Catherine when she comes in to talk to the king.
Give her badass speech.
Having fulfilled Anne's request, Henry comes to Anne's room, but she refuses to have sex with him until they are married. In a fit of rage, he rapes her.
Oh.
Ugh.
Yeah, that awful scene.
That scene pissed me off so much. I just feel...
I wish that would have been more implied and not shown.
And you said that wasn't even in the book, was it?
It's not in the book.
Yeah.
That scene pisses me off for some reason. I know that Henry's supposed to be the villain in this. I do know that. But make him the villain some other way than having him rape her.
So, spoiler alert for those who are not caught up to Game of Thrones or want to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
There's a scene in which Jaime forces Cersei.
Rapes her. Just say it. And
I know that was another thing where people were upset because that wasn't in the book at all. And it kind of was like it was like this random scene, like why, like it.
What's the point?
It had no other purpose in the show.
What is the point?
Yeah,
I do not understand. It's almost like they're, I don't know. some sort of sexism?
To us, we felt like it was just more like, how can we make Henry look even worse of a villain?
I agree.
It's like this was like a movie where like you're supposed to sympathize with Mary, but you really don't sympathize with any of them.
Well, maybe it was meant to help you sympathize with Anne, but how about you sympathize with Anne by showing her heart broken over her multiple miscarriages instead of being raped?
Yep.
I don't get it.
But once again,
the one thing I could think of, and this probably isn't a good excuse, but that scene shows that despite that horrible thing that happens to her, she is still she has her eyes on the prize with being queen.
Maybe.
She's got the conviction she'll do what she has to do to be the queen.
I suppose.
Maybe like I said, it doesn't seem like it holds a lot of water, but that's maybe a reason they did that.
Well, anyway, then she gets pregnant. So
because it's soon after that she's crowned, isn't she?
Yeah. Next scene, she's got a big old belly and she's getting married.
Yeah.
So a pregnant Anne marries Henry to please her family and becomes Queen of England.
Please her family.
As a wife, Henry slowly starts despising her, and as a queen, she is hated by the public, being deemed a witch. Despite the birth of a healthy daughter, Elizabeth, Henry blames Anne for not producing a son and begins courting Jane Seymour in secret.
Wait, did they even show that?
No.
Yes, they did.
Did they? I don't remember it.
There was a scene where he's walking with a younger woman.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that.
Oh, I do remember that part.
Wait though, the witch thing kind of popped up out of nowhere too. They just showed her coronation and everybody chanting witch, and that was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
After Anne suffers the miscarriage of a son, she begs George to have sex with her to replace the child she lost for fear of being passed over by Henry and burned as a witch. Okay, we got a lot to unpack here.
Oh, God, yes.
Okay.
They make that a one-sentence thing, but that is the climax of the movie, I think.
I'm gonna fuck my brother. Okay, wait. Let's just talk about how it went from. All right. In the line of the movie, in the plot of the movie, Anne Boleyn marries the king, has a baby girl. He says, "Don't worry, we'll have boys." Gets pregnant again, has a miscarriage, instantly declares herself barren, and says, "George, you have to fuck me."
So actually, if I remember the scene, she has the miscarriage. She's freaking out. She tells someone to get her siblings. Get George and Mary here quick, and they come what? And then it goes as dark as she's yelling at George, "Get rid of it!"
Into the fire.
The beat is the baby is just wrapped in a towel just on the ground. It's oh my God! I didn't think it was gonna go that. No,
it's
dark.
fucking dark, and
yeah, and this all happens within a 5-minute scene of I'm
although
maybe get rid of it
wasn't. Maybe it was a year later. Who the fuck knows in this movie, right?
Right. It could have been 3 weeks later. Who the fuck knows?
She's instantly looks at George George, you have to. It's what? Wait, what?
and poor Scarlett Johansson is wait.
I think we're
what?
Get a little we have to use George.
There's nobody else.
Immediate. She was it has to be George. Was there a thing back then where well, if you're banging your family, your seed's going to be a little bit stronger? was that a thing?
No,
I know Blue Bloods was a thing, but
in the movie she said that Henry expects her to be showing, and so he won't have sex with her because he thinks she's pregnant, and having sex with her will hurt the baby. So she needs to get pregnant, and George is the only one who knows she's not pregnant and can get her pregnant. So he's supposed to knock her up. And Henry will never fucking notice that she's not 3 months, that the baby's 3 months fucking late.
Yeah.
She's really just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
It's just a ridiculous scene, and Mary is upset and leaves, and then those two had their awkward foreplay.
George and Anne are sobbing as they're taking their clothes off and shakily pouring themselves wine to get themselves ready for what fucking horrors they're about to do to each other.
And then fucking Jane Parker is just randomly there.
Just watching, like,
she slowly backs up. Oh, God, it's all kinds of fucked up. I was going to say something else about that scene. I just don't remember what.
Mary's reaction is like, oh, my God, I can't believe you guys are doing this.
Wait. Anne has a miscarriage. In the movie, it's her first and only, and she's instantly like, well, I'm barren. He's never gonna, like, I cannot bear a living child. And
once again, Emily, we don't know how much time has passed.
Right. But, like...
she could have had a million miscarriages in between.
Why couldn't they fucking show it? Like, they could have shown tally marks, and it would have been better than showing nothing. Anyway. Back to
miscarriage is not funny.
What?
I said, sorry, miscarriage is not funny.
No, it's not. But
it's not.
Just the scene was so ridiculously done.
I'm just upset that they're not showing anything. Like, I don't think...
Just the leap of logic from, okay, gotta fuck my brother.
No,
maybe like that's what pisses me off about it. Is like,
this whole movie, they all just jump to quick, like, reactions.
Maybe...
There's no, like, build-up. There's no, like, real development you feel like you see in anyone.
Maybe that's what pisses me off about this portion of the movie is that miscarriage is heartbreaking, and it was sad for Anne. I mean, I'm sure she loved the children, and I'm sure she was terrified with each successive miscarriage about what would happen to her. Like, I get it, but in the movie, she just blows it the fuck off.
Yeah.
And they just show like one, like all you need is a single line about like, this is the third miscarriage I've had or something like that. Something to show that she was human. She was almost like a caricature of a villain in this.
That's two things. So there's two things I really wanted from Anne. I wanted to see more of why she became the way she was when she went to France.
Yeah.
And like how she changed. And then I wanted to see more of like something like her miscarriage, like driving her slowly to her wanting to fuck her brother in order to produce an heir. Not just like, okay, here we go.
It's like, it was lazy.
Yeah.
Back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Sorry, that was terrible.
So Parker then goes and tells Norfolk.
So, George at first reluctantly agrees, realizing that it is Anne's only hope, but they do not go through with it. So yeah, that's what I thought. They don't actually.
No, they don't actually.
No.
They do tongue.
I would like to have some words with Phillipa Gregory about continuing that bullshit myth that started in the 1800s, but whatever.
However, George's neglected wife, Jane, under orders from Norfolk to spy on Anne, witnesses enough of their encounter to become suspicious. She reports what she has seen, and both Anne and George are arrested. The two are found guilty and sentenced to death for treason, adultery, and incest.
And it happens about that quickly in the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see him, like 2 shots of him sitting in prison, and then, like, next you just see him being dragged away to be get decapitated.
Wearing the same clothes that he was going to bang his sister in.
I fucking love the scene where Anne is like, all right, I'm going to tell Henry that I had a miscarriage. He'll forgive me. So she goes up and she starts to tell him, but he thinks she's confessing to incest. It was like the craziest fucking mix-up in the world.
It's like a weird, like, awful
wait,
sitcom.
what were you going to say? He's like, no, you go. What were you going to say?
And she's like, I thought you'd forgive me. And he's like, how can I forgive you? It's sinful. Like, it really is very sitcom-like. And then he's like, I'm arresting you. And she goes, for a miscarriage?
Wait, what?
They all have a laugh, and then he beheads her.
So you having sex with your brother caused the miscarriage?
Okay, back. Let's go back. Come on, Garrett.
Distraught by the news of the execution of George, his mother disowns her husband and brother, vowing never to forgive them for what their greed has done to her children. Now she disowns them.
Wait, who does she disown?
I thought she was just pissed at her husband. Like, that was it.
Read that sentence again, Garrett.
Distraught by the news of the execution of George, his mother disowns her husband and brother, vowing never to forgive them for what their greed has done to her children.
That makes more sense.
I didn't know you could disown your siblings. I thought you could only disown your children.
This is a Wikipedia page. Don't take it serious.
Yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
sorry.
Her verbally saying like, man, fuck you.
Okay, sorry. And then literally slapping him.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was great.
After Mary learns that she was late for George's execution, she gets to catch the other sibling. She returns to court to plead for Anne's life. Believing that Henry will spare her sister, she leaves to see Anne right before the scheduled execution. Anne asks Mary to take care of her daughter Elizabeth if anything should happen to her. Mary watches from the crowd as Anne makes her final speech, waiting for the execution to be canceled as Henry promised.
Hold on, there's a whole scene with Anne and Mary, their last scene together talking, and Mary's parents telling Anne, like, it's all right, I spoke to the king, he's going to let you go, and that kind of stuff, and just like, and Anne's just like, oh, sister. I appreciate your lies, but let's be serious. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, you fucking dumb.
Like that goes on forever. Like Anne just keeps saying back to Mary, "I know you're lying. Thanks for the lying. Thank you for this.
Right.
Thank you for bending the truth, but I'm gonna die." That scene went on so long, but yeah, then it goes to the scene of her beheading. Mary's like, which is funny because like they have her go up there, and you think Mary realized like, wait, why are they taking her up to this platform to like.
Yeah.
Just to see the audience and then go back to her way.
Yep.
Like,
you're all there.
Like, you think you would have gotten the clue real quick. Like, why is there a guy go up there with a sword?
Here's a fucking dumbass.
Sorry. So I scrolled down to the cast part on Wikipedia, and for Scarlett Johansson, it says, Johansson expressed concern over the film being, quote, such a melodramatic tale. In response to critics being skeptical about the film featuring American actresses as major British characters, Johansson said, the 3 foreign actors will be using English accents. I'll take away the eyebrows and the makeup, and you won't notice I'm American.
I feel like that's just, like, encapsulates every issue with the movie. We'll just take these shortcuts.
But we'll get to that here soon.
Back to the synopsis.
So she gets a note from a message from Henry, pretty much telling her like, the only reason I pretty much didn't arrest your ass and kill you like right then and there is because I deeply love you and respect you, that kind of stuff. But if you ever show your face again to me, I'll kill you. Love, Henry.
10 days after Anne's execution, Henry and Jane Seymour are married. Norfolk is imprisoned, and the next 3 generations of his family are executed for treason in their turn.
That was like a title card. Oh, Mary takes Elizabeth.
Yeah, that pissed me off. She just like
she just like walks through
the
give
palace.
Me the baby, grabs the baby, and starts walking out.
I'm gonna take this baby that belongs to the King of England.
Is anyone not gonna stop this woman?
Takes her to the country and raises her.
It's all okay.
It's just
Did Elizabeth at all ever live with her aunt?
No.
That's what I thought.
She lived at let's see. She lived at, I think she was at Richmond Palace when Anne died, and then she was sent to and then she lived at Hatfield Palace. She never fucking lived with her aunt.
Like, that's what I make it sound like. She like makes it sound like I raised my own niece, and she becomes the badass queen. Because of what I did to raise her.
It's just so infuriating.
Because the movie ends then with seeing Mary's kids playing the field with Elizabeth, and then you see Mary with Eddie Redmayne's character, Stafford.
Yeah.
They see those 2 together, and then they go into the whole classic historical movie. Let's go through our little sideshow of everyone with their little graphic. All right, so let's tell what happens now from here. Like, Harry marries Jane. This guy's dead, and this person's dead, and that person's life sucked for the rest of the time. Ta-da!
Going through the book. All right. So, big difference with the book is they actually, let years pass, and Mary's daughter from Henry in the book, Catherine, is one of Anne Boleyn's ladies in waiting, and she's with Anne in the tower, and Anne still gets beheaded, but there's literally nothing about
Mary taking Elizabeth. It's one of those things if it never really happened, why did you even bother adding to the movie? What did it add to the movie? It was just trying to show, look, she respected her sister anyways by raising her niece.
All right, author's note. Mary and William Stafford did live a long and happy life at Rochford. When her parents died in 1538 and 1539, Mary inherited the whole of the Boleyn family holdings in Essex, and she and William became wealthy landowners. She died in 1543, and her son Henry Carey rose to become a major advisor and courtier at the court of his cousin Queen Elizabeth I, the greatest queen England has ever had. She made him Viscount Hunsdon, Mary's daughter Catherine married Sir Francis Knollys, and founded a great Elizabethan dynasty, and that's it. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
Look, guys, they're book club questions.
Oh, God.
I didn't realize there was a sequel.
Oh, there's tons of books in this series, dude.
The Boleyn Inheritance.
I laughed how much Thomas Boleyn was such a like little pansy throughout the whole movie.
Oh my God, he's such a pussy.
Yeah.
He was just like such a like limp noodle of a man the entire time. Like their uncle did way more. Norfolk did way more to set up everything.
I'm sorry, honey.
So the one trivia I laughed at when I read it on IMDb was Mark Rylance talking about how he was greatly disappointed while making the movie of all the inaccuracies.
You guys, if you don't know, Mark Rylance played Cromwell in the series Wolf Hall.
Yes.
Oh.
In general, what are your impressions of the sisters? Well, Mary's a dumbass and Anne's a bitch.
Yeah, like, I mean, the one thing we kept noting when we watched it was the costumes looked amazing.
God, they were so
They did a great job
gorgeous.
of getting the costumes looking well. I'm sure they weren't like 100% accurate, but at least they did a great job being close compared to most other movies and shows would do. Plus, also, I think we also know that the movie itself, shot-wise, was really well done.
It was
like the cinematography of it was great.
Yeah, that was great. I loved that.
Yeah. Just wish editing was a little bit better.
I know. You think just adding simple little like dates at the bottom of your screen, like
I know,
so many weeks later, or just putting a date in general.
1532, 1536.
May
that
of
would have
this,
helped
May of that.
so much.
That probably would have been better as a miniseries. And American productions need to not be so afraid of just putting out a fucking miniseries on TV and being happy with that, I feel.
All right.
Movies make more money.
Q&A with Phillipa Gregory.
That's true.
Q&A with Phillipa Gregory. How about Mary and Anne's brother George? Did he really sleep with his sister so she could give Henry a son? Nobody can answer to this one. Thank you, Phillipa Gregory.
I just think it's hot.
Oh my. Yeah, it just all felt.
What?
It's all felt.
Anne had 3 miscarriages by the time of her trial, and she was not a woman to let something like sin or crime stand in her way. She was clearly guilty of 1 murder. I think if she had thought that Henry could not bear a son, she was quite capable of finding someone to father a child on her. If she thought that, then George would have been the obvious choice. What the fuck is obvious about fucking your brother?
Well, clearly she had to fuck her brother. What else is she gonna do?
It just sounds like fan fiction and fan speculation.
It's like fan.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah, seriously. Turns out Henry was gay the whole time.
That's why you can never be happy with a wife.
They didn't need to do any of that. But yeah.
But
so,
yeah, no, we all even kind of by the end of the movie we're like, oh my god, is this done yet?
all of us were so ready for it to be over.
Emily's yawning.
I'm yawning just thinking about it.
Thinking about this movie.
Yep.
But
so we finally did it.
We watched The Other Boleyn Girl.
If you guys want to listen to our hilarious commentary, we did record it while watching it, so we'll be releasing that sometime, eventually.
Yeah, I gotta go through that.
Yeah, do.
I don't know if I'm ready to go through 2 hours of that movie again.
We still don't know what we're gonna do with that one.
But don't worry, we did record commentary. We'll just figure a way to release it.
Yeah, we got you, booze.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was Other Boleyn Girl, and that was something. Even like
that was a doozy.
To Garrett and I, who know now what we from talking to Emily in this podcast. Even for us, was like, what, huh? Me watching it as a film buff was like
hard.
Getting really angry at a lot of the writing.
Yeah, it was just lazy, I think.
But that's really it.
Right?
And Tutors.
Tutors.
Yeah. Tutors.
Can you believe it? Jeez. They did name drop our podcast in the movie, though.
I forgot about
Somebody did say I hardly know her.
And we were really loving that.
That made me giggle. Find us on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter is at Tudor Know Her, and Facebook is just Tudor I Hardly Know Her. And rate and review us on iTunes.
Yeah.
Yes, please do.
So
it helps.
Give us suggestions for future episodes. We'll be happy to look into it, and we'll cover it some time down the road. But
yeah, hit us up on Facebook too. And if you have any questions about something or you want to talk to us, just we'll talk to you.
Yes, I like talking to you guys.
Yeah. Until next time.
Till next time.
Divorce, beheaded, die.
Divorce, beheaded, survive.
Goodbye.
Sleep with your brother.